I think I'm going to tell these other guys, I'm not going to be spending $50,000 with you for you to do all the work on your own. I think I'm going to follow this guy's program and do his thing. And we took a leap of faith, and here we are. I was very thankful for, the part of Travis's program where he gave us ideas and here's how you can start that process. And when we launched, we were like, okay, we're live. The listing is up. We're finally good. We got through everything. And, I still remember the great feeling of getting that email and seeing you have one sale. Like the first sale, someone bought our thing. We had a single person buy like 90 units in one shot. So like, whereas normally you'd spend one for $15, we had a person spend $1,000. Before jumping into background or Amazon, my wife, my two kids, we're up in Ottawa, Canada. Yeah. So, we get a whole ton of snow and then we get a lot of sun. So we get a good mixture. I work a 9 to 5. I work in for a large sort of tech company, if you will. My wife's a teacher. And so she was the mastermind, if you will, kind of behind our first product. And she's the one, the whole passion thing spoke to her. Yeah. She's like, I got lots of passion. I'm teaching and I'm with kids and stuff like that. And so that's really where this was born from.
Great. No, I love to hear it. So you eventually ended up finding your way onto Travis's content and joining the program from there. Was Amazon FBA, did you immediately know that's what you wanted to do? Or was there kind of, especially on your wife's part, was there like some exploration about what you wanted to dive into?
You know what? It's a very good question because I stumbled onto Travis because we actually had signed up with someone else. And someone else that got me interested and motivated in the idea of FBA, except their pitch was they do everything for you, right? So you are hands off. They will basically, you give them money and they will build, sort of a brand for you. They will invest in the products and they do it all for you. But, their upfront costs were significant. You're talking in the 20, 30 to 80, 90,000, if you wanted to do that thing. Yeah. But if you're brand new, you think, maybe this is just the cost of getting started. Yeah. And I started doing my own research because I'm a little bit more of a hands-on, and I came across Travis. And you come across a lot of talking head ads, right? Oh, this is the way to do it in Amazon. You got to do it this way. But something about the passion program and Travis's approach, his authenticity spoke to me. Oh. And that's really what I was like, this guy sounds like an honest guy, kind of like everyone else out there, or an honest person at some point. And that's what spoke to me to sort of say, hey, I'm going to give this guy an extra shot here. Let me take a look. And I followed his videos. I watched some of them, and that really lit the fire. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to tell these other guys, I'm not going to be spending $50,000 with you for you to do all the work on your own. I think I'm going to follow this guy's program and do his thing. And we took a leap of faith, and here we are.
Yeah, no, I love to hear it. So when going through the program, obviously product research is a big part of that. And you eventually chose what your product was. I'm curious how you came to that decision, what exactly you looked at, and how you made that ultimate choice.
Yep. Our initial product was affirmation. We call them clings because they're not truly stickers. There's no adhesive. So it's literally just the static cling that sticks on there. But the whole idea of affirmations, is something that my wife deals with being a teacher, right? So reinforcement to the kids, I am brave, I am enough, I am strong, I am intelligent, I am kind. You reciting these things, there's a whole bunch of research behind the scenes that sort of helps, nurture that. And if kids say that while they're brushing their teeth every morning, if they recite it, then that truly helps to add to their self-confidence, self-esteem. So it was my wife that brought that up. And she was like, I think there's an angle here that we can look at. And she nailed it right out of the park from the first go. So she had passion behind it. We had the program with sort of Travis's, well thought out and put together program. It almost sort of wrote itself after that. And we just had to connect all the dots.
Yeah, so she kind of took her insights from being a teacher, like that competitive edge of knowing this fact into what the product became.
Yeah, absolutely. She said, this is something that resonates with parents, and that because what parent doesn't want to give their kid, an extra little bit or what can help to set them up. And she thought we need to try and offer this because I think this is going to connect really well with parents. It's going to connect really well with teachers who want to help their students. And, just her gut feeling, her intuition, she said, let's see what's out there. I mean, there's stuff about affirmations on Amazon, but they're stickers and there are other things out there. There's not an actual static cling that you can peel off and then put it on a different mirror or a different window, or on your whiteboard, in your classroom, all that sort of stuff. So she took that angle and it actually resonated very well.
Totally. Yeah. Yep. So when developing this product, it being stickers, that sounds like a product that's going to be very design heavy, right? So how exactly do you guys handle the design of the stickers and the design of the product and brand and everything like that?
Yep. It took us probably a good month to come up with the brand, right? So the brand is Bright Spark, and it Brite Spark, instead of bright as the traditional spelling Bright. And so we had that idea of sort of a, there's a spark of something to spark and ignite, and it just sort of came together as the brand. So we said that's good. We like that. And then she basically came up, she did, these are the affirmations that I think are good. She did a little bit of more research, and we settled on 10 phrases for our affirmations. And then she said, we need to, because our target audience is going to be kids and, or at least younger folks and things like that, and teachers and parents, we need to make them fun. And so she came up with, she basically was the designer behind the scenes too. She did the majority of the work herself. She designed these and did all that sort of stuff with the rainbows. And we used a program to develop that. We first went out to Fiverr and had minimal success. We tried to find a freelancer. We just couldn't get, after 2 or 3 freelancers, we couldn't really get someone to translate our vision properly. And so she ended up doing it herself. And what we had after we made a couple tweaks and made changes and adjusted things here and there, she was the mastermind behind a lot of that.
Wow, that's very cool to hear. Just figuring out and taking it like that and doing it yourself so you can actually capture your vision like that.
Yeah, less money invested for someone else doing it, right? And instead, here's $1,000. Can you develop it? The great thing about the tag team of my wife and I is that she had the vision for that. She did the design work, but she had not as much interest in sort of, well, how do I create the listing? How do I do all the Amazon stuff? Like, what is this? FBA? What is PPC? How does all that? So I did the behind the scenes sort of stuff, and then we sort of merged, and now we sort of both do a lot of the stuff together. But she definitely was design heavy and said, and if she's not happy, then I'm not happy with the design. Yeah. So if she can do it, it's just easier.
Totally. No, that's cool to hear how you guys complement each other like that. Moving us on to something you guys probably did yourself, the manufacturing. So was that pretty easy to find a manufacturer? And then what were the challenges, or how did that process all go?
That it wasn't easy initially. I was very thankful for the part of Travis's program where he gave us ideas and here's how you can start that process. Yeah. Right. And we went out to, which a lot of people probably starting out, go to Alibaba, and we try and find somebody or at least a couple different manufacturers, and we say, hey, we have this idea of static clings, that are adhesive, but there's no adhesive to them. And and we found several manufacturers, and we basically kind of followed. I think Travis had a template, sort of like, here's how you can start to reach out. Here's how you can do that. And we went through that process for a good month or so of contacting people, getting responses, finding out if they're good communicators, if they're truly interested in what we're trying to do, or if they're just, what's the MOQ? Give us, are you going to buy 10,000, clings? Well, we're just starting the order. Is that how we're supposed to do it? I don't know. So we had to navigate that, but it was really good to have Travis's videos and some of the little tidbits, and just hearing this is part of the process, but you don't have to go that high. You can negotiate everything. That was very helpful to steer us and ground us, so that we don't just, well, I guess we have to buy 10,000 right out of the gate.
Yeah, no, totally. So in part of here, you mentioned as one of your big mistakes is the shipping and the process from the manufacturer, the products from the manufacturer back.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So what that ended up being, so as you get through to different parts of the course and stuff, and you hear a little bit about, you might want to use a freight forwarder, you might, use this, and they can do that, different things for you. Right. Our manufacturer said, hey, here's a price to ship everything, but you might, and then just reading, watching the course, I did pick up on, you might want to use a different freight forwarder because sometimes they have cheaper rates, or you can, and they are responsible. That's all they do, right? Your manufacturers, they're helping with shipping, but if you have an issue, they may not be the go-to people. And so we ended up using, a freight forwarder, and they were very good at what they did. They covered everything from pickup to logistics and stuff like that. But the price was, compared to what I know now, 4 or 5 months later, that it was, exorbitant, extremely large, for what we needed to do. So that was, I don't know if it was a mistake or maybe just getting into it and then finding a better way to do it. But looking at the costs for the first run, that basically shot things up a lot. We were still very profitable, but knowing now we are much more, we have a better profit margin compared to knowing that we don't have to go with the big name out there, to basically ship everything.
Totally. Have you already burned through that first round of inventory, or are you still on that first one?
Oh yeah, we went through. We were on, I think, round 3 now.
Oh wow! So you've been able to now go back and figure out shipping and do it better, though,
and learn it, and understand, and I think it's the uncertainty of not knowing what the next steps are the first time you're doing something. I equate it, funnily enough, to being a parent. You don't know what's coming, right? You're like, how do I do this thing? Then after you have a, maybe a second kid, you're like, I got this. I know how the first one worked. So
Yeah.
as you went through the first order, you're like, do I need to airship? Do I need to use a freight forwarder? Do I need to have an inspection? Do I have to do all these things?
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it can scare you off because you're like, oh my goodness, like now I got $5,000 for some stickers. Like what?
Yeah.
Well, why? These things are supposed to be 10 cents a piece,
Right.
And then all of a sudden now, months later after you've gone through it, you're like, it's not 5,000. I'm only spending, a fraction of that, but you didn't know in the beginning.
Totally. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm seeing here you launched in November of 2023. If you could walk me through that first month, what happened? Did it meet your expectations? And how exactly did it go?
Yep. So the November, right around mid-November was our launch. So almost the third week of November,
Yeah.
and it took a while. Now we actually signed up with the accelerator program. So
Yeah.
we went past that, and we used one of the passion project program coaches, Rami. And Rami is phenomenal. Like he is so down to earth. He knows what's going on. You ask him a question, he's like, "Oh, click here, do this." Yes, and here's my experiences. So he was very complimentary and reassuring to having gone through Travis's course and understanding and hearing terms. He would help ground them and give you real world examples. So we started that in April, and so through November, it was about whatever that happens to be 6 months or so. Is how long it took from us to really, hey, I'm in the course now and I'm learning things to manufacturing to all that stuff. And when we launched, we were like, okay, we're live. The listing is up. We're finally good. We got through everything. And, I still remember the great feeling of getting that email and seeing you have one sale, like the first sale, someone bought our thing, and I was like, you made $6 or $5. And you're like, what? It was a really, really cool feeling that someone out there wanted the thing that we put so much time and effort into.
Right.
But it was exciting. Like inventory was finally there, and we had so many questions of why is it taking so long to get checked in? Where's my inventory? Why is it not live? When can I put this? What price do we set? So there's so many questions at that stage once we've jumped through all the hoops, and then you slowly figure that out as you spend time in Amazon and ask more questions.
Totally. So was November like a full month, or you launched like mid-month that month?
Yeah, mid-month. We had maybe 10 days worth of sales in there when we just started out, and there was no idea of PPC at that time either, right? Because we didn't really. I knew what PPC was, and I knew it, but I didn't really have enough. I hadn't really done enough research to just the bids, like auto, broad campaign. How are we going to do this exactly? Like that's a lot of stuff to figure out. Where do I go again? Like where is that PPC? So trying to figure all that stuff out. Do I need to do it? Shouldn't people just search for my product and just buy it? Like understanding that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was a little bit light in the beginning, but there definitely were sales. Like, I mean, we were moving some units, and that was really, really good to see.
Totally. So it looks like month 2 came around December. You guys did start running PPC, and that sales kind of went up. Is that what happened? The PPC campaigns led to that, or what was
what? Ironically, the very large majority of our sales are organic. The PPC campaign certainly helped. We definitely got sales of it. But when we looked back at, like in a particular week, we may have sold 50 units, maybe 5 to 10 came from PPC, right? And the rest was, either because we had done a good job with the ad and we had really good keywords and people were finding exactly what we were. So we were starting to organically rank. And, even to this day, I still struggle with how much we spend on PPC because a lot of it is organic, and knowing that you're in a good spot for some of these keywords is a really good feeling. But it started to ramp up. PPC was there. We definitely spend money. We still spend money, but it's not nearly the impact that I thought you would need to spend. I'm just very happy that we are organically ranking and people are finding us without having to click our ads.
Right. No, definitely. So in January, that January comes around, did anything happen big in January? I see your sales went up. Any big changes to your listing?
Not in particular, to be perfectly honest. I mean, every couple days or so, we're always trying to iterate and make small tweaks and changes. Just to, like, hey, I went back to a video, I listened to somebody else that was in the accelerator course. They had success doing this. I just tried a few things. I read something on an Amazon forum that said you might want to. So you're always trying to improve, like little leaps and bounds. To be perfectly honest, the only thing that actually changed, other than like the ad didn't change, we for some odd reason or good reason, we had a single person buy like 90 units in one shot. So like, whereas normally you'd spend one for $15, we had a person spend $1,000.
That's crazy. Wow.
Like just completely out of the blue, probably certainly not expecting anyone to do that again. But
Yeah.
for what it's worth, it was a business customer. So it's
Yeah.
quite possible that maybe there was some teaching course or academy, or somebody was doing some sort of retreat. They wanted to give these out as like, welcome packages, or I don't know what, but it
Right.
was like a shock. And, we sat on that for like a week, like when's it going to close? When's it going to be shipped?
Yeah.
So that was the only big reason for that giant boost in that month, is that somebody really saw what, and that really made us proud that somebody would spend that much money on our vision. So we
Totally.
were really happy about that.
That's very cool. And then, so moving on to February and March, anything happened in those months? Anything notable? Milestones?
No, not for that product. I mean, somewhere in between, December, January, February, we began sourcing second and third products, and getting inventory and expanding the product line and doing things like that. But this product was kind of humming along, sort of doing its thing. We began to update images and play with A+ content and use more keywords to try and get into the algorithm a little bit more, and just to try and slowly increment, our sales. But nothing drastic. I mean, it is doing kind of what we had hoped. Like, we are getting 5 to 6 to 7 units a day, and so that's 150 units, give or take, per month, which is doing, it's a good, viable little stream that's working. And so now we're looking to see, can we create a second and third and fifth stream? And that's literally where we're at right now.
Very cool. Very cool. So are you selling on both Amazon US and Canada?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice.
Yep.
And what's the difference been between the success you've seen on both? Is like sales coming in largely from one or the other, or is it kind of just mixed in?
Largely from US, right?
Yeah.
Given the fact that the economy is, and the population is, probably 10 times the size of Canada.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of expected that, for the 150 that you move in US, you're probably moving maybe a little bit more than 10 times, a little bit less than, or a little bit more than 10 times. So maybe, I don't know, 30 or so a month or so in Canada, give or take. Now, we also released a French version for the population in Quebec, right next to us that speak French, and that's actually doing fairly well as well. We had dabbled with the idea of maybe there's a Spanish version for the large Spanish population in the United States. I haven't gotten there yet. Still trying to do research to find out whether or not people actually might absorb that and enjoy it. Just because they speak a language doesn't mean you just translate all languages and then everyone wants them. But yes, very much everything is working in Canada just like it is in the US, just on a slightly smaller scale.
Nice. No, that's great to hear. And then, so let's bring us over to your mistakes. And then one mistake we talked about here was the air shipping and using the well-known freight forward instead of just figuring it yourself. Something it seems like you came back from. Was there any other mistakes from your journey, or just things you would do differently next time?
I'm not sure. So maybe like mistake-wise, I certainly did not heed the very clear message that Travis and Rami and others shared, in that, pictures are a very big differentiator. And we did not so we did our best to try and hire a designer, and we tried to find somebody that could 3D render for a reasonable price. The ones that we did find, and maybe I just haven't connected with those people yet, but the prices that we got back were very cost prohibitive just to 3D model. And it was very difficult to 3D render a flat cling. It's not like it's a box where it's a 3D shape and you can sort of get pictures from all angles and do that. It is a little 2D shape that is designed to go on a window or a mirror. So just taking a picture, flat on a surface like that is not easy to then, Photoshop or however you want, render it, in a transparent capacity in a mirror, because you have to be able to see through the mirror in the picture because it's the cling, because it's invisible, right? Like all the way through, it's transparent. So we ended up using a program that would allow us to sort of put it on there. But you could look at it very quickly, and anybody would say, oh, they kind of just pasted that over top of it.
Right.
It gives them the idea, and people can say, oh, this is what it could look like. I understand. But there's definitely a percentage of people that would say, oh, that doesn't really look great, and then they would probably skip over and go to the next one. So we would, going forward for all of our stuff now, we make sure that our images are very, very crisp, that they're either real if we can set something up to make it look real. And we do, a lot of the images that we now have are the back of my son's head looking at a mirror, or it's my daughter, or it's actually, and so it actually looks, we actually, so the images was definitely something that we thought we could kind of get away with. We tried it the right way, didn't really work out, cost prohibitive, thought let's just do it and see what we got. We were getting sales, but did we probably leave sales on the table because we didn't have clean images? Probably, most certainly.
Totally. And then something we always, if there's not a third mistake, some things we always like to throw in is like not starting earlier. Would that be something we could include, or how do you feel about that?
You know what? I mean, if knowing this, like the what we call the success that we're having right now, and that it's supplementing, it's doing really good, it's good passive stream. Certainly had we done this, a year before, 2 years before, you just think, hey, I'm here in 5 months. If this was 2 years earlier, what could you have done? Like, where could we have been? Could we have now been at 10 products, running or something like that, passion products? So who knows? But it's definitely something that we never thought we should have done it earlier. But, you always wonder, if we did it earlier, how much further ahead could you be, or how much happier potentially could you be with the freedom that passive income like this and following a program affords you.
Yeah, no, totally. That makes a lot of sense. Cool. So in total, you've done over $10,000 in sales on Amazon?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And I think that's only Canadian, that's only US. I didn't actually put the Canadian numbers in there. So you're probably, I don't know, maybe like 12, 13, 14. I don't know. I'd have to really crunch numbers. But yeah, I mean, over $10,000 in sales, I think technically in the first 3 months, maybe 4 months. I know I've got the 5th month in there, but some of those numbers, the calculator and the sheet didn't really reflect the same numbers I had. So I think the calculator actually lowballed us a little bit, took off some money. We actually, what I can see in Amazon shows me a little bit more, but I just left your algorithms, the formulas were working. But yes, very much over $10,000, combined in the first 3 months between both markets. In US, I think it took a little bit, about 4 months if we're just looking at US. But yeah, I mean, I would have never thought that, after launching within 3 or 4 months, somebody has bought $10,000 worth of our product. Like that's a really cool feeling, and it's something to say. And yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very pleased that we found Travis's program. And
that's great to hear. That's great to hear. One thing I could add in. So you said you've re-upped that inventory twice. Do you remember what months you've done that in?
We did. We re-upped. I think in January, and then we also had a big that one spike of person who bought like a month's worth of inventory. And then we just re-upped again in late February, and it just arrived in sort of mid-March. So those ones, and that's for a couple different products. That's for this product as well as something else. But yeah, this initial one is now, we're on the 3rd one, and we're actually probably 2 weeks away from the 4th. Start submitting the 4th order for the 4th re-up.
Super cool to hear. Super cool to hear.
Moving. Great. Well, thanks for the time today, Connor.
Yeah. You too. And you have a good one.
Thank you very much. Talk soon.